Hello friends, how are you? Hope you are doing well. Today we are continuing our discussion from the previous discussion related to the environmental sustainability, social governance, climate change related questionnaires. So let's continue our discussion. What are the three main pillars of the sustainable financial framework? So we can see the mainstream sustainability in the financial decision making and risk management practices to be incorporated in this decision making and risk management related to the sustainability. And we need to enhance supply and demand for sustainable financial products and green investment projects actually, and strengthen enabling environment that promotes sustainable financial practices through collaboration between financial and real estate stakeholders actually. So these are the three main or key pillars of the sustainable financial framework. First of all, we talk about the integration of the sustainability into the financial decision making and the risk management practices, enhancing or improving the supply and demand for the financial products, sustainable financial products. Okay, and then we go for strengthening the environment that promotes the sustainable financial practices. Next is about in the first pillar, mainstream sustainability in the financial decision making. We consider embed the sustainability consideration into the policies, legislation, directives pertaining to the public and private financial activities. Then we can say include the management of the climate related risk in the mandates of the relevant federal, municipal, local supervision authority. We can talk about establishing the regulatory guidelines for the assessment and management of the ESG and climate related risk exposure in especially in lending and investment activities of the financial institutions. Then we can say develop the environmental stress testing tools to aid the financial sector, including commercial and investment banking and asset management and insurance practices. And finally, we need to propose standardized guidance on ESG and climate related reporting and disclosures in alignment with the we can say task force on climate related financial disclosures or TCFD recommendations actually. Then we talk about second pillar, what we have discussed, enhancing the supply and demand of the sustainable financial product. So establishing a nationwide common taxonomy for sustainable finance along with the tools for identifying and assessing the eligible projects, exploring public financial options for providing green finance initiative mechanism such as tax deductions or exemptions, or we can say guarantees and other risk sharing instruments in transforming from business as usual to the green economic practices. Then we can say incentivize the financial institutions to develop and market sustainable products and services, assess the readiness and opportunities for sovereign green bond issuance to the fund eligible projects or practices or the businesses, and develop the climate and green investment projects pipeline in the targeted sectors like we can say oil and gas, like we can say all different construction area, real estate sector, or different high carbon emission areas, focusing first and prioritizing them in alignment with the national green economy strategy. Support the implementation of pilot projects in the nation sectors and the technologies that can contribute to the green economic growth. The next third pillar, we are talking about forging the partnership between academia, incubators, NGOs, private sectors to promote R&D, research and development in the green finance and green technology and green innovation area. And we need to equip the next generation of the financial professionals with necessary knowledge and skills in the sustainable finance, ESG, through development of the relevant curriculum and the student we can say internship program or internship opportunities as well. Considering the accreditation schemes for sustainable financial training programs as well as the dedicated training incentives, and promoting the entrepreneurship and innovation in the sustainable sector. So this is how we complete our three mainstream pillars for sustainable finance. Then we talk about there are certain examples related to the sustainable financial practices or sustainable projects in the G20 countries. Like we can say we are working for clean energy, energy efficiency, and low carbon transportation system. And we talk about the pollution prevention and the protection of the environment. We talk about the land conservations and low carbon infrastructure development. So for an example, we talk about the either we say the clean coal or hydropower, nuclear energy, bioenergy, wind, solar, geothermal energy. Then we talk about the fossil fuel powered energy efficiency, advanced materials, green building lightings, industrial energy efficiency. We can talk about the transportation system like metro, non-diesel trains, electric cars, alternative fuel vehicles, and especially following in the logistics as well to go for the low carbon transportation. Then we can say about the pollution preventions and following the recyclings, we can say circular economy, wastewater treatment, waste systems, water supply, and next is about land conservation, soil. We can talk about certain initiatives like afforestation, reforestation, energy and water efficiency, and we can talk about the green agriculture product, regenerative agriculture, and low carbon infrastructure, like we can say developing the general grid efficiency, smart and mini grid, and grid integration, storage as well. So these are certain examples related to the sustainability practices. Now, what is the meaning of sustainable financial taxonomy actually? So we can say European taxonomy is a tool to help the investors to understand whether an economic activity is environmentally sustainable or not, and to navigate this to the transition to a low carbon economy actually. So European green taxonomy helping the investors, companies, issuers, project promoters navigating the transition to a low carbon, as I said, to a resilient atmosphere or resilient environment and resource efficient economy actually. So this new tool is helping them to identify the assets and carry out the ESG tagging through a standardized and consistent approach. Then we talk about UNPRI. There are 6 principles and exactly what we have discussed earlier as well. So UN principles for responsible investment, these are from the United Nations, which is UNPRI is an international organization that works to promote the incorporation of the ESG governance factors into the investment decision making actually. So principles of responsible investment is a United Nations supported international network of investors working together to implement its 6 aspirational principles. Okay, so what are those principles? As I told you earlier, we will incorporate ESG issues in the investment analysis and decision making process. We will be active owners and incorporating the ESG issues into ownership policies and practices. We will seek appropriate disclosures on ESG related issues by the entities in which we invest. We will promote acceptance and implementation of the principles within the investment industry. We will work together to enhance the effectiveness in the implementation of these principles, and we will report on our activities and progress towards implementing the principles actually. The next is about the United Nations Environmental Programme Financial Initiative, UNEPFI, which is again a global partnership established between United Nations Environment Programme and the financial sector. It was created in 1992, and there are also 6 different principles. In these categories, we can think about alignment, impact and target setting, clients, customers, stakeholders, governance and culture, and transparency and accountability. So these are 6 different principles for United Nations EPFI. Okay, so let's see. Next standard or framework is about SASB, Sustainability Accounting Standard Board. Again, that is independent non-profit organization whose mission is to develop we can say disseminating the sustainability accounting standards, which will be helping public corporations in disclosing material information and decision useful information to the investors. So SASB standard helping the companies around the world to identify, measure and manage the subset of ESG topics and those most directly impacting the long-term enterprise value creation actually. Now, importantly, we need to discuss here what are the important roles that the financial sector can play in enabling a climate resilient, or we can say inclusive, green economy and sustainable development. So here we can say identify, manage and improve the institution's direct and indirect environmental social performance, contribute to the best of the abilities towards the community and society in creating economic, social and environmental opportunities, invest in the facilitating or investing in financing or providing insurance to the projects, businesses and customers with sustainable purpose actually, and taking into the account the climate and environmental social governance risk in the institutions risk management processes. And next is about reducing the institutional environmental footprint, helping in reducing the environmental footprint of the institutions stakeholders, all internal and external stakeholders, promoting equality, respect for the diversity in the workforce, and supporting the financial inclusion of the underbanked population, or we can say access to the financial services for all segments of the society. Next is, what are the 5 principles of the sustainable communities? So those 5 principles are like enhancing the livability, because we are creating jobs and creating the sustainable economy, creating opportunities for economic prosperity, fostering the environmental responsibility, and embracing the design excellence actually, and demonstrate visionary leadership and strong governance. So to develop the sustainable community, we need to develop one sustainable community and green infrastructure plan, where we need to follow certain steps like organizing the stakeholders, developing a community vision, establishing the goals, objectives and targets, and assessing and assets and opportunities actually, and identifying approach to add the green infrastructure. Now identify those factors which brownfields and hazardous waste sites into the planning phase, and plan for the long-term operations and the maintenance, developing strategies for the local funding, identify federal government related resources, and finally monitor what you have planned, monitor and measure the progress. So thank you very much students, we will meet in the next discussion. Thank you.